So at the time you wanted to start the bank, there were 4 categories of banks: state-owned, which is ADB, NIB, GCB.
Yeah.
State institution-owned, so that's the SSB, which is now French, SGSSB, and then TTB, which is now EcoBank.
Yeah.
Then the foreign-owned at the time,
banks,
and the Nigerian, and the Barclays, Stanchart, and then there was something called private indigenously owned. So there's Prudential, Unibank, and CAL. And as we speak, there are only Prudential and CAL still exist in the form, because Unibank also went
the way
within the same. So 68 years of independence, truly indigenous Ghanaian private sector bank is just Prudential and CAL.
Even CAL is not.
Because of the share structure now.
It's not.
But that's regrettable.
It is.
I mean.
So the question is, when are we going to support our own? And if you don't own your banking sector, you don't own your economy. That is a sad situation.
Can you repeat that? If you don't own your banking sector, you don't own your economy.
You don't own your economy.
Don't our leaders know this?
Well, I think sometimes they are on the destructive mood that they don't think about the good things. That's all I can say.
If you don't own your banking sector, you don't own your economy.
No, you don't. And then we had also problems with our software. We had to move from Finacle to terminals, and we had the migration problems and all sort of things, to the point where somebody came and said, I've been credited with about 1 million CDs and I don't have that money. I haven't paid any monies like that.
The software was just misbehaving.
And I go, we are dead. You know, because if it's a debit, you come and tell us. But if it's a credit, how many people will come and tell us? So we had a lot of issues apart from the culture and all that.
And even for a fully chartered accountant who had run a financial services company for years, banking took some getting used to.
I'm still not used to banking completely, and I'm still not in love with banking. There are a lot of things that some banks do that I couldn't do. For example, some banks will just recruit some ladies and then set them targets and then unleash them onto the market to go and meet their targets. And when they bring the monies, the banks will take them and buy treasury bill and make a margin, as simple as that. And sometimes I think it's not fair on the women, and I can't think of myself putting people's wives and sisters in that position. So people recommended that, listen, you have to do it. People are doing it. I said, it doesn't sit well with me. Just pick up some women, give them targets, and let them go harass people, and probably even give a bit of themselves to raise the money and bring to the bank so the bank can make money. So there are some aspects about banking that I've never liked. You know, I think what I like is to give value for money. So one thing which separated us at UTFSL was that we're very responsive to the client, because I had been in SME business for about 15 years. So I knew exactly what the problems of SME were. Because when an SME person comes to you and says, I need money, he means now, not 2 months later when the bank is doing evaluation.
Banks take too long.
Yeah. By that time, by the time you give them the money, the business is gone. But they will take it. So it's structured for failure.
Exactly. Which is why a lot of MPLs go high.
So we responded 48 hours, give you the money, make sure the business is there, follow up, write our reports and everything, and then make sure you're applying the monies properly. It was through our normal strategy sessions, and somebody said, why don't we acquire a bank? And it took, even though I had said earlier that we'll never become a bank, when he said that, it's as if a pin had dropped, and everyone kept quiet. So we went on break and came back. Then the issue came to the fore again. And we had to debate why a bank, but the idea was to have, you know, we had UT Holdings, UT Financial Services, UT Properties, UT Logistics, UT Live, UT Private Securities. So the idea was to have UT Bank in the group, not to become a bank.
Oh, okay.
Right? So finally we decided that, is it possible? Can we raise the money? And I said, yeah, it can be done. So then we, like UT, in our special mode, we just give assignments and things and time of reporting and KPIs and all those things. Mine obviously was to raise the money and
get the license.
Now, interestingly enough, at the time, banks were owned by either the state, or they were foreign banks, or state-owned institutions banks, or former governors owned the banks. And here I was,
small group,
Kukurantumi boy. I was going to look for a license. So for me, it was straightforward that if we want to own a bank, we must acquire an existing bank. Then we acquire with the license. Because when I checked, it's like, oh, if you can get a former bank, governor to actually be exactly, and I don't want that. So that's how we went about it. So the decision came from our strategy session, and then we executed it. The way we did it was, I have taught at the stock exchange for about 12 years. I was a resource person, so I knew the stock exchange, and I'm in love with the stock exchange. So I decided, okay, fine, we'll prepare UT Financial Service and put it on the stock exchange. And so we put 30% of UT Financial Service on the stock exchange, and we raised $27 million. Interestingly enough, we started UT with less than $20,000, which included my car.
Wow.
And in about 11 years...
Yeah, I got into almost 30 million.
Yeah, the market cap was $90 million.
Wow.
And so, long story short, I went to two banks, ICBG, and I realized that they had parent companies, and so I couldn't buy them. Then I went to BPI, and I realized that Akoko we Onimame, you know.
They didn't have a parent bank abroad, exactly. And the owner was a Malaysian.
Yeah, it was owned by a Malaysian and things like that. And they had run the bank down. Of course, you can't buy a bank that's doing very well.
That's the problem, right?
So then we targeted it, and we raised the $27 million and used the money to acquire the bank. But interestingly enough, when we acquired the bank, the minimum capital for a bank was $7 million, which was 7 million cedis at the time.
Because at the time it was Kufuor to 1-to-1 after the nomination, 2008.
And as soon as we bought the bank, the Governor Bank of Ghana raised the minimum capital to 60 million cedis, which is $60 million.
Within the same year.
So here we were, we had bought a bank, but we didn't have the capital to own the bank.
So NSMQ, before it became NSMQ, at this adult college, who were some of your mates in Adi school?
Would you know them? We had people I was 2 years behind Sam Jonah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. So he was your senior?
He was my senior, but he was not only my senior, he was my chapel prefect.
Oh, come on. Sam Jonah. He was your chapel prefect?
Yeah. And then there was my prefect, Sam Jonah's time was Pebi. That is Pebi's father, the popular Pebi's father.
Wow.
And we had...
As in P-E-R-B-I?
Yeah.
R-B Pebi?
R-B Pebi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pebi's
father.
He worked at Price Waterhouse.
Exactly.
The husband of the historian.
Yeah.
He was your senior prefect, your mate.
My senior prefect 2 years ahead, 1 year or 2 years ahead of me.
So Sam Jonah was a chapel prefect. Charlie, this. You know, it's funny because my mates, I went to Presec, my year group as well, the chapel prefect was called Nick Paco. And he used to sing very well, but he was also a DJ and stuff. So sometimes when you see him, chapel prefect sometimes it doesn't make connection. Yeah. So you produce some good chapel prefects. Yeah. Wow.